Will Assassin's Creed Mirage bring back HELIX Rift missions? Now, for those of you that don't know, before we get into this video, HELIX Rift missions were small linear playable parts of Assassin's Creed Unity and then expanded upon with Assassin's Creed Syndicate. So essentially what HELIX Rift missions were in, for example, Assassin's Creed Unity, story-wise, the Animus would start bugging out, glitching out, because from what I remember, the Templars were basically trying to stop you from working with the Assassins, so they'd start trying to delete you from the code, basically deleting the Animus code, which would then basically mess with you in real life, and it could either, I think, kill you or trap you within a vegetative state or something like that. So what you do is you throw yourself into another time period of the same city or country that you're in. This would basically throw yourself off the Templar scent and give you, the assassin, a bit more time to escape from the deleting code and get yourself back to safety within the Animus and then experiencing Arno's memories once again. So story-wise, that's what HELIX Rift missions were. Gameplay-wise, as I said, it would throw you into a completely different time period than the main game itself. So Assassin's Creed Unity, for example, was set in the late 1700s during the French Revolution. There were different HELIX Rift missions within Assassin's Creed Unity, such as medieval Paris, World War II Paris, late 1800s Paris, and I think a few more. These small contained missions were very linear. You would go from one end to the other, the world would be glitching out around you, things would be flying at you, you'd have to run and escape, you'd have to climb things, you'd have to jump off things, and then you'd basically have to get through the portal at the end and you're safe. It was a fun little adventure to help with the pacing in the game every now and then. Now these were main missions every now and then. There were side mission HELIX Rifts, where you could just get collectibles, and again, it was something fun to do here and there if you wanted. In Assassin's Creed Syndicate, they majorly expanded on the HELIX Rift aspect of the game by adding a small open world portion of London where you played through World War I as a new character called Lydia Fry. I think she was a Fry. Now, as you probably know, the main game was Victorian London, so you'd go through his portal, go to World War I London, you'd meet Churchill. There was a little bit more of a story, a cohesive story. AC Unity was, it's glitching out, get out of there, and it was a cool mission. AC Syndicate had more of a, here's a little storyline for you to experience in another time period, which was cool. So now you're up to date with what HELIX Rift missions were. Now we're going to get into the whole aspect of how this could be in Assassin's Creed Mirage, how I think it could work, how if I was to make it work right now, this is what I would do, and I think this would be so cool. So let's get into this. If Rift missions were to be in Assassin's Creed Mirage, because as we know, they're trying to bring back older features from older games into this game from what they've told us, maybe they'll bring back Rift missions. I actually really enjoyed Rift missions in Unity and Syndicate, mostly Unity because they were small, fun things to do, and I do love history and I loved being brought in to different time periods. So when Origins came out and they got rid of that and then the subsequent games didn't also include that, I was a bit sad, like, oh, I missed the Rift missions, I was hoping they'd be here. So if they do bring them back, that would be cool. Bring back some old features. Now, I was thinking, how could Assassin's Creed Mirage incorporate Rift missions? Mainly story-wise, because Unity had a story for it, Syndicate had a story for it. How could Mirage do it? And this is what I came up with. As we know, Basim isn't just Basim. He is also Loki, or he was Loki. Loki was a first civilization being that implanted his DNA into some machine thing that would then later reincarnate himself into another being in the future. That other human being Basim. From what the AC Mirage trailer alluded was that the story is going to incorporate a lot of Basim battling with his inner self. Who is Loki? Who is this? What are these memories? Who am I really? So there's that. Also, as we saw in the last chapter of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we understand that William Miles is going to be reliving the memories of Basim because Basim uploads his DNA with his blood into an Animus-like machine, which then states it will take 29 days to process his DNA for reliving his memories. Perhaps when you are reliving the memories of Basim in Assassin's Creed Mirage, because he has Isu DNA, because his DNA of who he once was is very much there, maybe the Animus has a hard time time deciphering Basim from Loki, and it can't quite cohesively do this, so the animus glitches out, and every now and then you're thrown into a rift type mission where you relive the memories of Loki during the first civilization. And I'm not talking about like it was in Valhalla where you'd relive those first civilization memories, but with the lens of Eivor's culture, that being of Norse mythology, because Eivor couldn't comprehend their own memories without that cultural lens. I'm talking seeing it really how it was, like how we saw it at the end of Assassin's Creed Revelations, like genuinely how the first civilization was, how advanced they were. Maybe we get to play through certain story portions of Loki. How cool would that be? I'm getting excited even talking about it. And obviously AC, Syndicate, and Unity's Rift missions were very action-packed. These, in my opinion, don't even have to be action-packed. They could be done to add to Basim and Loki's character development. Maybe it's a lot of cutscenes showing how things came to be in the past. Maybe you're talking to characters, you're following them while chatting to them and exploring a futuristic, well, a historic, but as we see, futuristic city. Perhaps you're interacting with the technologies that they had at the time, such as Apple of Eden, such as stuff like this. Maybe you're interacting with them as a scientist. I don't think Loki was actually a scientist, was he? But you know what I'm trying to say, as who he was at the time. As I said, this could really add to character development, make us maybe even be more attached to Loki and subsequently Basim as a character or characters. And I know we learned a lot of Loki's story within Valhalla, so perhaps it doesn't even have to be his main sort of big Loki story from when he was alive during the first civilization. Maybe it's a side adventure or something that's going to add to the humanity of Loki, to make him not come across as a villain, as a trickster as we know him, but more as a, okay, well, you know, before he was the way he was maybe a decent guy. And because he had decency about him back then, and Loki is very much part of Basim now, Basim also contains those qualities. And maybe the qualities we see in Loki from these side adventures that maybe we get to experience every now and then, we also see those aspects reflect in Basim during the main game. And you can say, oh, I saw him act the same way during the Rift missions when it was in the first civilization. That makes so much more sense now why he would react this way to a person as Basim. I think there's so much opportunity here for story potential more than anything. I think it would make the game stand out amongst maybe others in the series. It would make it a lot more memorable, and I think if done well, it could be a way to do a really good job of connecting us to Basim, to giving him some more humanity, if you will, making us understand him and why he does the things he does. Or fuck it, they could just throw us into random time periods again for not much reason, and yeah, it'll be fun, but it won't be as cool as that. Either way, let's talk about gameplay now. So now I want to talk about how these levels could play. I did allude to that slightly with this whole walking around and interacting with things that I talked about earlier, but I want to go into more detail now. So could it be similar to Unity in the way that these are individual sort of adventures in different areas, each Rift mission you do, and they're more sort of very linear, go from here to here, go from point A to point B, and that's the mission with a lot of stuff in between? Or could it be a bit more like Syndicate's Rift missions, where you were in a small little open world, you could explore, you could go there when you wanted, the Rift missions were contained within this little open world? I suppose you could also say a much smaller version of how Jotunheim and Asgard was in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Its own open world with its own stories, but again, not as massive as it was in Valhalla, but much smaller like World War I London was in Victorian London Syndicate. And I know I said a lot of it could be very story-driven, you're following characters, it's coinciding nicely with cutscenes, you're interacting with objects, you're walking around and beautifully just exploring a lovely looking futuristic but historical world of the first civilization. And I very much do stand with that, but I think it would also be good maybe nearer the end of the game, or as the story of these Rift missions progresses, maybe things ramp up more, there is a bit of action, a little bit of intrigue, a little bit of, whoa, drama, you know what I mean? And there's a few Rift missions here and there where, yeah, stuff does pick up. You have to fight, maybe there's like gun combat. How cool would that be? I guess it would be like laser gun combat or something, whatever weapons they had in the first civilization. And the weight of those more action heavy Rift missions, I think, would be a lot bigger, a lot more dramatic, if the earlier missions were more calm, more somber, more of an emotion and a story and a character development type thing. If there's action in every mission, it's like, okay, we're just gonna have another action-packed thing, and it might be really cool to do. But if you kind of pace it nicely with a little bit calmer, then the next one ramps up a bit more and ramps up a bit more, then the last one is this big action-packed thing, then again, it adds more to the weight of what's happening, the story, the situation, and the Rift missions. Maybe it could even show a lot of the interaction between Loki and his son. This time not as a wolf, but as an actual person. Or maybe that would be too similar to what we saw in Valhalla, so maybe it would be too much. You guys let me know in the comments your thoughts on that one. Overall, I think this would be a really interesting and new way to bring back something we loved, which was HELIX Rift missions. I would have that confliction with Loki memories and Basim memories. Maybe it's the animus glitching out. Maybe Basim even does it deliberately to show William Miles what the world truly used to be like when it was ruled by the first civilization, by the Isu. He could even leave little messages here and there, like, William, I actually put these in there for you so you can explore it. I'm very sorry, I don't know why I did such a shitty accent, and I will not do that again. Who knows what it could be? Speculation, my thoughts, and I love doing it. So let me know in the comments your thoughts on this. Do you agree with me? Do you think this could be really interesting like I do, or do you disagree? Do you think, you know, we don't need Rift missions at all, or if we do, it should be done in a completely different way? There's no right or wrong. This is just my thoughts, and I want to hear your thoughts, so let me know in the comments. Let's get a discussion going and build that community. So if you did enjoy this video, then press the subscribe button and the like button so I know that you want to see more just like this, and so you don't miss a video when I do upload. I do videos such as this, my thoughts, I do AC Mirage news, and I do bigger videos such as my AC1 retrospective video 15 years later, or my Assassin's Creed robes ranking video. And I'm also working on some other big projects, one coming at the end of this year, maybe even in the next couple weeks, and one coming in the new year, and obviously more coming in the future. So as I said, if you guys are interested in anything like that, then press the subscribe button to join this community. I love you guys, mate. The father of understanding guiders. I will see you soon. Oh, obviously, fuck those Templars though. I haven't said that one in a long time, but obviously you, yeah. Love you guys. I will see you soon. Goodbye.